NHL is not the only sport headed into the playoffs. I'm now joined at the desk by Dominic Vernazza to break down the current NBA playoff picture. So let's start with the Warriors, Dom. Dealing with some injuries right now to their big four, Klay, KD, Steph, Draymond, having a little trouble. How's that going to affect them in the playoffs?
Well, look, 3 of those 4 injuries to Durant, Klay, and Draymond, they're pretty minor things. Honestly, I think if they were really fighting for a playoff position, they could come back now if need be. I think they're just resting for caution. The real problem is Steph Curry.
Right.
He is the stir that stalls the drink.
They're saying he's out for the first round right now.
It's looking that way. I think the bigger problem isn't necessarily that the first round, which they should win pretty handily. It's that it's an MCL injury. It's the same thing he had 2 years ago when they lost to Cleveland. It limits mobility, which is a big part of his game. Even if he comes back, it's going to be after missing about a month and a half. You know, so you're worried about some rust. And I think this year the Western Conference, with the Rockets specifically, are better than any team last year.
Out of any of their big four, who's just the biggest detriment to their team if they lose him? Is Steph?
Oh, definitely Steph. I mean, his gravity affects everyone else. It's almost impossible to game plan for. I mean, you look at their numbers. When he's on the court, they're averaging 120 points per 100 possessions, which is the highest offense ever. Off the court, they're just not as good. They're 13-8 without him, 40-11 with him. So, you know, it's a huge difference. I think he's the least one they can replace.
And you listen to Steve Kerr talking about sitting Steph for that first round. Should the Warriors be that confident that they can get through that first round?
I think it's really, you're going to have to play it by ear. I think if you have your 3 All-Stars, you're likely going to be much better than any team you're faced in there, even though there will be some solid teams. But obviously, if you find yourself, you know, it's 2-2 coming Game 5 or you're even down, I think you need to realize, like, we got to bring Steph back.
I want to bring him out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
assuming he's healthy, of course.
Absolutely. So we're moving on. What teams do you think could upset the Rockets and the Warriors in the West? And then what teams have a chance of upsetting the Cavs and the Raptors in the East?
Well, for me, I think the biggest threat to Golden State from one of those early teams in my face is actually going to be the Timberwolves. I know they're kind of failing. You know, they're not playing well right now, but that's because Jimmy Butler's been out. When he's healthy, they have 2 long wings in Andrew Wiggins and Jimmy Butler who can switch. And their biggest problem is the Warriors don't have a good answer for Cat. He overpowers Draymond because he's got quite a few inches on him, but he can also switch out onto Steph Curry in those pick and rolls and hit the threes. Really the only center in the league who can really do all 3.
The Timberwolves are really well equipped to defend the Warriors, surprisingly.
And the other thing is, obviously during the regular season, they're struggling a little bit because, you know, their coach just doesn't play their bench much. But in the postseason, it's a little bit less of an issue. I think they've given the Warriors trouble in the past. I think that would be a matchup I don't want to see first round.
Trailblazers are also looking pretty scary these last month in particular.
Oh, yeah.
So let's move things on to the East. Who do you think could upset the Cavs or the Raptors?
I'm going to go with the 76ers here. Trust the process.
Nice.
Joel Embiid is a load down on the block. He's one of the rare centers who posting up actually makes sense. Ben Simmons is playing great. I have a little bit of questions about how he's going to do in the postseason just because they're going to really sag off him. But so far, he's shown the athleticism and smarts to make teams pay for that. And Markelle Fultz, he came back, he was looking good. If he's giving him 20 minutes off the bench with some shooting, extra ball handling, I mean, this is a talented team. They've got wings like Robert Covington. You're going to love those shooters like J.J. Redick. I think, you know, there's a lot of talent in the 76ers team. They're a little green, but
if they get past that first round, then teams should be nervous. Teams should definitely be nervous, especially in the future.
Yeah.
All right, so pick your winner and tell me why.
I'm going to have to go with the Houston Rockets.
Really?
I think the Warriors overall are a better, more talented team if they were fully healthy. But as we've seen in the past, Steph Curry coming back from an MCL injury is going to limit him. And I think the margin between those two is just so few. You look at the Rockets, they have a ton of long wings. You got your P.J. Tuckers, your Luke Richard Mbutes, and then obviously you got your dual-headed point guard combo
You
of
saw
James
just
Harden.
how much money they put into defense this offseason just for this matchup against the Warriors. And if Steph's not ready to play, then
I mean,
looks
mathematically,
like
the Rockets are a perfect team. You know, you have your amazing point guards in Chris Paul, James Harden. You have your one dominant role man who provides that vertical spacing, and then you surround with 3-point shooters. I think if Steph's not 100%, I think the Rockets are the champions.
Maybe a championship for H-Town is on the way. It's going to be fun to watch. But that's all the time we have for the NBA. When we come back, Mason will be in the lounge to discuss the college guys and this year's crazy NCAA tournament.